Let me send this message. Oh, yeah. Alrighty. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Black Labs. Super excited today. We have a really fun event planned. We have Brian here, who is a dev relations at Github. What's going on, Brian?
How you doing? Doing well.
So what are we doing today?
Yeah, so today I was actually going to talk about building Twitch integrations using tools on GitHub. And but I guess I'll introduce myself a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm Brian Douglas. I work at GitHub. I go by BDougie on most places. And I've been at GitHub for 3 years. I've been leveraging GitHub for like 8 years now, 9 years at this point. But yeah, I've started my career in sales, actually. Got a finance degree, and it's a whole long story I'm happy to get into. And eventually I made my way into writing code. So I was a self-taught coder, learned all that stuff, and here I am today.
Self-taught. We all love a self-taught. I am also a self-taught. And what I'm good at, I'm self-taught. Great. Okay, so Twitch. Shall we just dive right in, or what?
Yeah. I guess the easiest way for me to start too, as well, is I got a couple slides that I can share my screen for.
For sure.
If you don't mind, there we go.
Yeah.
Grab my screen.
And then, you want to share your screen that way? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I could also do it the other way too, as well, which is
either or.
But we'll do this because it'll just be easier. So BDougie is everywhere you can find me on the internet. BDougie on GitHub. If you're at all interested in learning a bit more of the story of how I got into programming and switched careers, definitely check it out. I know a lot of folks have CS backgrounds, which is helpful to break in, but I think some of the stuff I had to do to establish myself as a developer is actually pretty transferable to anybody who knows how to code, because a lot of that sort of brand awareness that I had to do myself, it transfers to anybody who wants to write code and find their next job. So that's my story, github.com/readme/Brian Douglas. This is the blog post that I started when I first learned how to code. It happened shortly after I had my first son, and actually my only son, my first child. And it really just goes into detail of like, this is me learning how to code in public, and there's a whole learning in public movement. So that's what I did here, where I just, every time I learn something new, I just write a blog post about it. But one thing I wanted to bring up is open source. Open source is a way for me to sort of establish presence and just learn stuff that I wasn't learning on the job. And this is an example of me learning Node.js directly from a maintainer of a project. They emailed him. He got back to me and was like, I'll help you out. He taught me how to do Node.js, and I've been doing Node.js since 2015. But I just want to summarize this, is that open source is valuable to your career. So if you aren't doing it, I run a community called Open Sauce that I'm happy to point you to. Right in the lower left-hand corner, opensauce.pizza. This is what I look like on the internet. This is what I call myself at GitHub, and a Beyonce advocate. And it's really because I like Beyonce, but also I get to talk to all different types of developers using GitHub about this feature, which is called GitHub Actions. And I'll just scroll through some other slides that aren't as relevant, but I do have a YouTube account. So if you want to learn how to build the stuff I'm talking about, there's a video on there about building Twitch integration using GitHub and Twitch. And then I have an analogy about basketball, about like the idea of full court layups, where you could be the one person on the team doing everything, or you could be the one person on a team that knows how to get everybody the ball. So when you think of like junior to senior dev, that really correlates into how the game of basketball is played. So statistically, area 31 is this point on the court. 31% of the shots are made from this point. So if you know that, instead of you just always trying to be the person who takes the feature to production, instead, why don't you be the person who could be the providing assist, person that provides like the extra libraries or the game plan to actually get features out the door. So with that being said, Area 31, it's an opportunity for your automation. Add automation to your workflow, and which is why is my segue to talking about Twitch bots. Why I do it, because automating interaction with Twitch folks using your GitHub repo is a great way to learn how to code. And I've been actually live streaming for over a year now, off and on for over like 3 years. And this is my Twitch channel. I'm actually curious, like folks in the chat, feel free to drop yes or no. Is anybody using Twitch actively? Like, are you? And I'll drop my my slides too as well in the chat. Or actually, I drop them in the Discord. Actually, probably better to find that as well. But yeah, question is like, are people using Twitch for anything? Are you using it to watch games? Are you using the watch coders? Because like right off the bat, I could see already one live coder that's doing stuff on Twitch, and I'll meet her for a sec. But the thing about this is like,
I've seen her before.
Yeah, so White Panther, she's based in London somewhere, and or London, sorry. She's based in the UK. I don't know if she's based in London, to be quite honest. But all she does is she writes code. She makes all this animation happen through like CSS and JavaScript, and that's the difference between if you go to. Let me see if there's another game streamer. Actually, these are all not game streamers. But if I went to browse the PUBG or the
Nick Merckx is probably online.
Yeah, this is fine. Whoever's playing League.
Okay.
Yeah, and it looks like anybody who's not doing a tournament. That's here we go. Here's So like with Twitch integrations, you could go to like Streamlabs or Stream Elements, and we'll watch the ad too as well. Streamlabs or Stream Elements to go add a plugin for chat, or you could use Restream, like what we're using right now, to get all these plugins and overlays and interactions working. But the thing about live coding on Twitch is that, like when you become a Jedi, and this is, I don't know, this is an analogy someone told me. When you become a Jedi, the first thing you do is you build your lightsaber. And when you first become a live coder, the first thing you do is you build your chat interactions and your chat integrations. So here you can see on the right, this guy, whoever, I'm not even Stanley, I guess. He's got like the sort of generic chat overlay that you probably get from Streamlabs. He's also got, actually, if I follow him, will my name show up? No. So this guy's actually way too big to actually have followers. Actually, there we go. So he's got some alerts right here. So I don't know how to read that, but in Chinese, he announces when people follow him. So those are like small interactions you could use doing webhooks and using sockets and the Twitch API to build. So understanding that concept, that's what I built Baybot for. And Baybot is like a simple chat interaction to be able to say, I want, whenever someone walks into my stream, I want to go and say, let me pull up my chat. And then the other thing is, I'm honestly not even sure if this will work because I just connected it this morning. Here we go. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the overlay that shows. Actually, I've got it on there twice for whatever reason. Not really sure why. Oh, actually, I do have it. I see what I'm doing there. All right, yeah. But anyway, this overlay here, which if I went to, say, type in pizza, you'll see the pizza overlay happen over my screen. And like one thing I do when people show up in my chat is they do yo. Like this is how you announce yourself, announce your presence, that you're joining my chat, you're on stream, now you have interaction with me. And the way I've done this is I've actually gone through and actually, I realized the animation was probably pretty small too as well, but I'll switch and show that up in a sec. But the way that works, and the way Twitch works, is that most people are using a service like Streamlabs OBS or Twitch Studio. And to be quite honest, all those tools, they're actually put together by OBS. And OBS Studio is an open source project. So when I talk about, I preambled this entire conversation with open source is really valuable for your career. All that stuff, the entire company's Streamlabs is like worth $1 billion, like over a couple $1 billion. all that's built on top of this open source tool. So I can go build something that interacts with OBS and go make $1 billion. Probably not this much. You probably want to put a lot of effort and work into that. But that's insane that this code is now powering a multi-billion-dollar company. So just let that sink in real quick. But what's amazing about that, if you want to become an expert at OBS, this is it. Like opening up issues, being part of discussions. So here are the GitHub issues, here are the discussions, like understanding where the future of the project is going. You could actually just identify all that right here on GitHub. And us as developers, we have access to all this because we know how to use GitHub, which is absolutely amazing. And if you're not using it like to the fullest extent, like I 100% encourage you to do so. So going back to this, I am using OBS. In OBS, you can add these things called browser sources. So actually, the one thing I could do is actually pull myself over. So you can see me here, and this is actually the same camera that I'm actually showing off on stream. So if I switch that, you can actually see I'm now mirroring exactly what I'm showing. So it's gonna be intense. But the one thing you do is you can go here into this tab, and then you can click on browser. And then on browser, you can add a browser source. And when I say browser source, I'm actually talking about a website. So if I went back into my streaming overlay, go into streaming, you can see that I'm pointing to an index.html file locally from my desktop. I'm doing this from adding this file into a browser source, which is, again, a website. That website itself, it looks like this, actually. Let me see if I can open this up real quick.
So it's like you're pointing it to your directory in like your local computer, wherever that project is stored.
Yeah, and it's not limited to that. I can actually publish this to GitHub pages, which I'll do in a sec. Okay. But here's my folder. Here's my index.html that I'm opening up. And let me just run that chat again.
On the side.
And if I do the yo, you'll see here, but then you also see on my face the same thing being presented. Mm-hmm. So that's how it's being worked with the transparent backgrounds added to my browser source. That's like understanding that concept is like, that's like the beginning of building your lightsaber when it comes to live coding or interacting with Twitch. And like this doesn't have to be live coding. Like you could build an entire League of Legends stream or whatever, PUBG, Call of Duty, but you could build all your own stuff. And that's like that's the difference of you as a developer versus everybody else on Twitch. So like being able to have custom made stuff without needing to pay, a couple $100 for every single thing.
Yeah.
And then when you start really unlocking this, like the fact that you can take this to stream elements, stream elements kind of like your Vercel or your AWS of hosting your interactions. You can take Baybot and take it directly to stream elements and add it as a browser source that anybody here in chat can use my thing. And it's just by going to, and like this is all I'm sort of scratching the surface on all this stuff.
Very.
But I just wanted to point this out before I before I jump into actually making this stuff work.
So is this Stream Elements like a marketplace for overlays and interfaces made by other devs?
It can be. That's not where they pitch themselves to.
Okay.
So like you can go buy stuff from Stream Elements, and then you get a URL, which is basically a website. Put it onto your OBS or your Streamlabs or your Twitch Studio, and then you're good to go. But with this, like with my chat, so I'll show you what this looks like in a sec. And I always forget where this is, the actual code itself. But you have the ability to adjust the code directly. And let's see.
So after you upload it, you're able to update the code.
Yeah. This is where I fall over right now as I'm trying to figure out the setting that I definitely know where it's at, but I don't know where it's at. Oh, here, editor. There you go. So yeah, so the same code I was showing you with Baybot, which is here doing the index.html. Mm-hmm. I can add this to here. Here's my CSS file. Here's my JS file. Here's some extra YAML if I wanted to basically take in inputs. Mm-hmm. And then you can also add some extra data too as well, which is native to Twitch, I can just copy and paste all that stuff as long as it's hosted like on Cloudflare or GitHub Pages or somewhere else, drop it in the stream elements, and then I could put this behind a paywall and say, okay, if you want to use Baybot, $5.
Okay, that is very nice. Okay.
Sorry, did you have a question?
Me? No. Well, I mean, actually, I do. So it seems like what we're about to discuss here is, something that you could use just as like a developer project, but also use if you want to become a streamer, right?
Yeah, best of both worlds. So like, if you wanted to start a YouTube channel, like you could start a YouTube channel, or you could be really good at editing and go edit a bunch of other people's YouTubes and be known for that. So like, it's like when you talk about like everybody talks about the gold rush as an opportunity where everybody wanted to go to San Francisco to get gold. But the people who made real money were the people who sold jeans and the people who sold the picks and the shovels. Like people providing the tools for people to be successful in getting gold are the people who make the real money. So when I talk about Twitch, when I just popped on that one dude who was like 10,000 from China or spoke Chinese, I'm assuming China, Taiwan or something. He's got 10,000 folks who are watching him. I can go knock on his door if I spoke Chinese. Maybe a better example would have been someone who spoke English, but I can go there and say, hey, I built this overlay. It's called Baybot. Like it's fully customizable. Like let me know if you want a version of it for your own channel. I'll make it look great for you. And like I'd even point out the fact that the JavaScript file to make all this work for that Yo's and stuff like that, 79 lines. Yeah, so it's not intense. It just had to basically get the setup to go. So like I'm using a tool called Comfy.js to talk to Twitch. And then from there, I've got this command called Yo, which that takes the command and then it presents a GIF on screen. And then it tells you it actually gets to user who typed it. And then it tells you the Bay GIF as well.
And so the command is whatever you type after the exclamation mark.
Exactly.
Okay. So is that just like a Twitch convention, or could you modify that to where
you can modify it to whatever you want. So Comfy.js is it's an open source project as well. So again, this will be the theme today, is that all this is open source. For sure. Comfy.js is a super small JavaScript library that just makes it easier to interact with Twitch. Twitch has an awful API. It's got also awful documentation. But what it has is a great community. And the community itself puts together all this stuff like Comfy.js and InstaFluff. Definitely watch his streams. But puts together like really straightforward ways to interact with Twitch. So here, if I wanted to, actually, what is the name of this channel?
Black. BLACC_XYZ. Okay.
Yeah, we'll just only pick on Twitch today, so everybody on YouTube will have to migrate over. So I'm gonna do something that's gonna be super interesting, which is I'm going to open up Baybot, and I'm gonna connect this to the Black channel. And the other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop sharing right quick, and then I'm gonna end up sharing my screen through OBS as well.
OBS. Okay, sounds good. I will remove that. Do you want me to remove
it? Yeah. And then the one thing I'll do is let me find my OBS real quick because I moved it. If I go to share screen. There you go. I'm back here. All right. So what I'm going to do is actually I've got a little Vim file open up over here. So I'll just go ahead and open up my index.html. And the one thing I'll do, actually, what I want is my index.js. I'm going to change the Twitch channel to black_XYZ.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. I have like a really important question.
Yeah.
Do you actually code in Vim?
Yes. Yeah, Vim is my go-to.
You work for GitHub, VS Code. Why?
Yeah, so VS Code is not a GitHub thing. VS Code's a Microsoft thing.
Microsoft. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, okay. And so this is like the same question of like, why is WordPress not on Git? And it's because WordPress is older than Git. Git wasn't around when WordPress was built. So for WordPress to go and switch to Git, like there's no value in that unless we want to make GitHub or Bitbucket or GitLab a lot of money. So my thing is I've been coding longer than VS Code has been around. I've been using Vim since pretty early in my career. It works for me. I don't recommend people go learn Vim, but it gives you a lot of secret powers if you want to jump into Docker containers or in shells to be able to know the basics of Vim. So that's why I use Vim.
Okay.
I use VS Code on stream, and I only use VS Code on stream because we have another feature called Code Spaces, and that is VS Code inside
in the
GitHub.
browser, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
really
it's
great.
in the browser, and I do know how to use VS Code. I leverage it, but for the sake of quick fixes and stuff that doesn't have TypeScript involved, it's just going to be so much easier to just use Vim. Hopefully that answers the question. The other thing I need to do is refresh my browser source real quick.
Okay.
And there we go. And the other thing I need to do is actually add the Baybot here. Okay, so directly above our heads will be a Baybot. So I've now got Baybot connected to the Black chat,
Nice.
to the Black XYZ chat. So if anybody types in yo, your name, your Twitch handle will show up on the screen for the remainder of this this conversation, and then we could add interactions based on those interactions as well. So by all means, anybody who wants to participate for sure, try it out. If not, we can move on. But basically, that was it. So yeah, APS Flex, thanks. You are hype. Thank you very much for showing up. But yeah, I mean, this is all it is. Like, so the beauty of this is the fact that you can go into here, into the Baybot, and I guess what I'll do is I'll fork this real quick. Oh, you know, I can actually fork this. This is not in my personal repo. Yeah, so I'll just grab a fork of this, fork it in the Baybot right here. Now this is my personal account. This was on OpenSauce, but now I'm on BDug. I have a fork of here. The other thing is I need to fetch the latest. So that little button, that's what that does.
They just dropped that like yesterday, right?
Yep, new feature as of yesterday. You can now fetch directly from the browser. And so now I have the latest and greatest. And if I wanted to get my own version of Baybot, and like I don't want to run this locally, I want to run this in production. So if I go into the pages settings, I can actually it looks like it's already deployed. That's because I already deployed it. So the beauty of this is now I have Baybot here. So if I go back into here and I move back to my other chat, the other thing that Baybot does is it logs the chat for you. So if you wanted to keep track of like what messages are happening, you can actually see that. So you can see that I have the random typings that I have here.
So your camera is blocking the stuff that you just wrote in the console.
Oh, sorry about that.
You're fine. Okay, cool.
But yeah. So basically, that was what that gibberish I just typed here. I'm able to log that here.
Okay, that's what's up. Okay.
Yeah, and this gives you access to some other stuff. Like if you wanted to keep track of all your followers during the stream or all your subscribers, you could do that with things like Baybot and chat interactions. So like a very common interaction is like at the end of your stream, you would have a credits roll that say like, oh, hey, so-and-so followed, this many people said yo. Like you can actually track that in a database. And then at the end of the day say, okay, I'm going to run the script. It's going to show everybody who yo'd.
And so would that script just be like exclamation mark roll credits, or would that just be?
It could be whatever you want it to be. So actually, let's get into the next thing, which is so that's Baybot. The fact that I just deployed that to GitHub Pages is another thing. So instead of me running it locally, I just have this run forever. Like there's no need to. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you talk a little bit more about what GitHub Pages is? Because I know that like I've heard about it, and I've only heard it be used to like host people's like portfolios, but you're
That's
using
pretty much
it for
what it
something
is.
completely different.
So GitHub Pages, it is a way to get a static website up live and have a URL attached to it. So back when GitHub Pages was started together back in like 2012, to get a static website up on the internet, you had to do a lot of hoops to jump through. You had to go to AWS and set up an S3 bucket. Not even cloud, static hosting. I don't even know what it's called. Hosting on AWS. S3 was where you get, yes, S3 is where it is. But you go to S3, and then once you get to S3, which I can even log into my AWS management console, you'd have to go pick your size, which, like, I don't know if this is going to be 5 gigs. I don't know if this is going to be 100 megs. Like, you'd have to manage all that, which is where DevOps comes in. Like, you'd have to be basically your own DevOps person to get a static website up. So to do something as simple as throw up my portfolio site, which is bdougie.github.io, which is hosted on GitHub Pages, I would have to do a bunch of work just to show off some simple projects that I wanted to show off. And these are all projects I don't even maintain anymore, but this is when I first started using GitHub. But yeah, that was like kind of intense. So now GitHub Pages is a tool which you can just simply have it index.html in your project root. And that's exactly what I'm doing with the Baybot. Is I have an index.html in the root. And then that wherever that index.html is found, that's what's going to be your website. So knowing I could do that and build a website really quickly, I just threw my Baybot, which is just I didn't really go into this, but this GIF alert, all it does, so that's where I'm calling it, but where I'm defining it here.
Your camera is a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
You're fine. Okay, perfect. Cool.
But what I'm doing right here is I'm defining the GIF alert. So I'm grabbing the user from Twitch. I'm picking a GIF. I'm playing audio too as well. That's the pew 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 horn sound. And then I'm identifying a type, and that's really just to identify what message is going to be on the screen as well. So this is the one JavaScript function that also adds the H1 and the GIF on the screen, and that's all it's doing. It's just some simple DOM manipulation, and that's all I'm doing to basically get stuff to show up on the screen. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. I'm just trying to read the other part. So like the queue comes from where?
Oh, that's a good question. The queue it's another file which let me get slightly bigger.
Yeah, and so it's actually funny because now that I read that, I remember that that AP Flex, excuse me, that I guess like we both typed it at the same time, but his went first for a couple of seconds, and then afterwards mine went in.
Yeah. So that's basically the queue.
Nice.
This is like a common, like this would be in your CS program that you probably would learn how to queue up, or orchestrate things. That's what this is. It basically is going to run, and it's going to run a loop and do some recursion to basically find who went first. So it's going to grab your yo, and then AP Flex, his yo is going to wait in line, basically. And that's what this code is. It's not great code. It's pretty like ham-fisted, not performant JavaScript code, but for what I'm doing for it, it's also not tested either. But what I'm using it for, it works. And basically what I had the issue of too many people in chat typing the thing at the same time, that I instituted a queue to basically
so it was just like
make sure people wait their turn.
That makes sense. And so all of this is just built in out the box.
Yeah. Out the box. Okay. So like you could replace your GIFs in your commands to do whatever you want. Like fork it, make it your own. And that's the beauty of open source. Like I don't care what you do with it, because you're not going to touch the thing I'm using, because mine's running on upstream. But if you want to clone it and rename it to like, the black bot, by all means do that. Yeah, the other thing I didn't even bring up too as well is the idea of Spotify is another chat command that's also included. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play some royalty-free music real quick, so that way y'all don't get flagged on YouTube.
Thank you.
So this is royalty-free music.
So all Spotify is royalty-free?
No. Specific playlists. So yeah, I would not be playing like the baby or anything like that. So I'm playing a song right now, and I think this should be hooked up to play music to stop the music. All right, well, that didn't work. I didn't think it was going to work. But what would happen if this was on my streaming PC, because my streaming PC has the latest and greatest code, it would actually stop the music. And that's what this code is. This music code. Oop. You know what? The latest and greatest code doesn't have it, but the Baybot does. So yeah.
Okay.
And this is because this is a feature I made for just my chat.
Yeah.
Which, you know what? That's what it is. Pause Spotify. But basically, what that does is it's going to pause Spotify and then play Rihanna's song, Please Don't Stop the Music, for exactly 2.5 seconds, just to get the Please Don't Stop the Music. But it's a chat integration to basically let my chat stop the music if they're like trying to hear something. And I did that because it's super simple to do with a little bit of GraphQL. And that's what this is. It's a GraphQL server that's somewhere else, but it's serving up that one endpoint to talk to my Spotify. I should actually delete this, to be honest, because it's not connected.
Okay.
There was a music command here that I deleted, but I actually forgot to delete this, which is why it didn't work.
Oh wow, that's so you can really just do whatever. And so Spotify is connected to your actual Spotify account.
Yeah, and the way I'm doing that is through OneGraph, this tool. So this tool is actually it's a GraphQL aggregator to connect a bunch of different GraphQL APIs. So if I want my data explorer, here's a GraphQL API to talk to GitHub. And this will actually, what this does is it's going to actually change my GitHub name. But the way I'm doing this is, so you see I can log into Twitch here. And this is all just, you log into OneGraph and you can connect all your other API tokens. So what this is going to do, this is going to air out because I'm not live on Twitch. But yeah, I'm trying to think if I'd have to, I could check to see if Black was live on Twitch, but I'd have to get your stream ID, which is going to be harder to find.
Okay.
But basically, if I was live on Twitch, it would give me a 200, and then I have automation to basically say if I'm live on Twitch, go to Twitter and change my Twitter handle to BW is live on Twitch. So if I do this now, I've got this connected to a keyboard command, so you'll see it happen live. But here we go. I'm going to hit Option T, and we should be able to see. Oop. Oh, you know what? I gotta.
Wow.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. So I'm technically not live on GitHub because that was what it was set up for yesterday. But I could say Black under. If I had forethought to actually have this set up, I would have had it say Black_XYZ.
That is very nice.
So there's a lot of again, this is like building your own lightsaber to basically say I'm going to make my stream as automated as possible. So that way, if anybody wants to stop my music, if anybody wants to tell me an issue they want me to review or a pull request, or if they want to control my keyboard to write some code, they can do that.
That's so. There's this one streamer I know. His name is Jason. He has a series called Learn with Jason. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, but
yes, I know him well.
Okay. So it's actually not him, but it's the guy who runs Coding Garden. I think he has a little LED panel, and he lets his audience put in binary code, either a 0 or a 1, to toggle on and off the lights. And he puts at the very bottom, and it's just always just flickering on and off. It's so great, and that's what that just reminded me of. That's crazy.
Yeah, the other thing is if I open up, I don't know if we're gonna get to Twitch, but I've got this other one called Slaybot.
Okay.
And Slaybot is basically like Baybot, but this one slays. That's literally what it says right here. And the reason I say that is because this is a combination of Baybot and GetTwitch. So GetTwitch GitTwitch is another chat integration that basically, and I don't know if I'll have time to set this up because I thought it was working, but it apparently isn't. Oh, you know what? I got to add it to OBS.
Okay.
Give me 2 seconds.
Mhm.
But basically what happens here is I can see it's actually not running on localhost.
So if I'm using like, GraphQL with like Apollo, can I still use OpenGraph?
What do you mean by Open Graph?
Because
Oh, you mean OneGraph?
There you go. OneGraph. I'm thinking about.
Yeah. So the OneGraph client that you would connect to uses Apollo already.
Oh, okay.
So if you looks like my socket failed or something. Well, instead of doing that, I'm going to open up Slaybot instead because I got
Okay.
Slaybot running in production. So GitTwitch, it essentially does that, but also, actually, where is my Slaybot? I had it open. Here we go. So I'm going to open this, but I'm going to open up I've got a production. So I did a whole stream on how to rebuild Netlify using GitHub Actions. And what I'm doing right now is every time I open a pull request on Slaybot, I'm going to get a version of what I'm changing live in here. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to actually add Slaybot to GitTwitch instead, just so you can see it working. There we go. So now you've got this this thing running in the background, and I could lower this down just a little bit as well. So what should happen is if I star this repo, it didn't work. Yeah, I'm not sure why that's not working. I didn't actually check out my webhooks, but what's supposed to happen is there's supposed to be an animation above my head of someone who started the repo. But the other thing you could do is
your photo is in the way of the chat.
Okay, no worries. Let me just move that over.
If you want to move your camera to like, okay, yeah, that should work. Or like the bottom right, yeah, that should work.
Yeah. So I typed in say was typed in the chat. The one thing I need to do is actually interact with the browser. So in order to play audio in the browser in Chrome, you have to do something with the browser before you play music. This is a problem with websites who autoplay music or play sounds, and it's quite annoying. Yeah, so you have to type something in the browser beforehand.
Because can't you just trigger a DOM event?
You can't automate it. Human has to interact with the browser.
So what if I do like, say I'm using React and I like do a use effect to just click a button that's like.
Yeah, you still can't. It has to be active browser, clicks, interact with it before music can play.
Okay.
Or any audio it could be played. But real quick, I'm just tell me if you can hear this. Or you know what? I should type this in the
on Twitch. No.
No.
I didn't hear anything.
I don't think I'm actually giving you sound.
Soundboards. A lot of configuration.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. All right. There we go. Let me see if I can type around this again. No, that was not sent. Well, I will tell you, I can hear it, but okay. I'm not quite sure how I can share sound to you.
Share.
Unless I was sharing my screen. Can I share audio when I share screen?
Yeah. Try it. I'll bring it up.
Yeah, if you want to switch to that. All right, so I'm going to type one more time. Did that get sent to you?
No.
Nothing?
It's weird because when you first did the Baybot, I could hear it.
Yeah. That was sent. Oh, I switched it back to black.
Oh,
But
that's probably why it wasn't showing.
yeah, so the sleigh bot is not sent to Black, but anyway, what I'm getting at is there's some integrations you can do.
Yeah.
I don't have a good example if I can't share audio to you, but basically what happens is there's a TTS that should be that's saying, "Can you hear this?" What my chat does is if I'm not sharing my screen, they could actually say to me verbally, "You're not sharing your screen." A lot of folks actually just put jokes in there. So like dad jokes basically.
Yeah.
Actually, one person does it and just sends dad jokes and then tries to get me to laugh at them. But it's another way to interact with chat. And then the one thing I do with this is to interact with chat using the say command, you have to be subscribed on Twitch. And to be subscribed on Twitch, it costs like $4.99 to do that a month. And I do that intentionally because I don't want anybody to be able to walk in and say whatever they want in chat. That could be problematic. But two, it's a great way of collecting revenue. So interactions like this, like Coding Garden is one of them. Like if you want like the next level of interactions or emotes or whatever, you can set up subscriptions as a gate for interacting with chat.
Him and Jason? Oh man. Oh, they got
and Jason was my inspiration for Baybot.
Really?
Because his basic chat interactions are what I used to make Baybot work. So if I go into one of my last videos, this one. So I will let me see if I can find the interaction when I talk about.
See, so okay, so your audio is muted.
Yeah, I muted it because I'm trying to. I don't think the audio is as necessary, but there you go. So here you can see the scrolling over the screen. I'm not quite sure why my webhooks are not working, but I could also go into Slaybot and the settings and check out the webhook. So in GitHub, I could send webhook events. Oh, that big old red invalid 301 response is indication. I wonder.
Debugging in production, of course.
Yeah, well, while I'm debugging this, I could actually say too as well. That's my staging URL, the one that showed up in my PR that I've been printing.
Yeah.
I'm sending JSON. Folks, if you lost your secret, you can change it. No, that's. And then the other thing I'm doing is there's a bunch of events, webhook events that GitHub gives you access to.
And so that's all of those that are right there.
Yeah. So the one thing I'm actually getting an event for is stars. And whenever someone stars a repo, it's supposed to do something.
And the payload is all of the information of the person that just starred. Okay.
Yeah, so like here here's the repo that was starred. If I scroll down, it'll say user down here. Sender. So that was me testing it. But I'm not quite sure why it was 301.
Because the 301 is that's on the server, right? Not on the client or on the user. I mean,
yeah. So the 301 is basically the webhook went to get to push it somewhere, and it got redirected. So 301 is redirected, and the one means created. So someone did something to get redirected. I can click the response. Yeah, it must be something on Azure, perhaps. But if I did open up
the one in production.
Yeah, the production one. It looks like that one's working. Oh, you know what? I think it might be because I didn't actually add the secret to the staging server.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so if I unstar, you can see BWG starred this on GitHub.
Mm-hmm. And so that's what the GitHub settings was saying in the warning, saying if you lost your client token or something. So
I think that might actually be the case. Unfortunately, I can't fix that live in production because I'll be sharing. Sharing all my secrets.
Yeah, everyone, don't share your secrets. Don't do that. No.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend it. But if anybody stars Slaybot, you will now see your name get shown on my screen here.
Oh, wait. Let's link a GitHub open source. Slaybots. Okay. Let me see. Star. Boom. Boom. There you go.
There you go. So yeah, it works. The other thing that I wanted to point out too as well is the way this is working is, as you saw me debugging the webhooks, I set up a webhook server. So this is a little more complicated than Baybot, but I do have a webhook server that is basically receiving any star events from GitHub and then taking those star events and sending them to my front end. So this is not React. This is not Angular or Vue or anything like that. This is just JavaScript. But I have it in a client folder. Got my index.html. And I do this because this is, so I've been coding long enough that I remember when React was this. You'd create an index.html, and then you would create your React elements directly in a script tag. And like that's how you got started. And then once you get more complicated, then you have all this other folder structure and all this other stuff. So like this is the beginnings of like, if I wanted to build a framework, I could. And I'm just shoving it into the script tag.
Oh man, okay.
Yeah.
Before what it is right now, I couldn't imagine it. I just
Yeah, and like I don't know if I want to make it into like a framework. It would be nice to, but if I did that, I'd become a maintainer of another thing. Yeah. So if someone else wants to take this code and this idea and make its own framework and become famous, like please go do that. I just don't have enough time to go be famous on this.
So question, so like, you know how like you have all of these commands and like you're saying, like you sort of did some moderation with allowing like the dad jokes and being able to actually like have the audience verbalize on their text.
Yeah.
Could brain fart. Aside from just having that one barrier of entry be payments, can you sort of like just toggle them on and on? So like say that like, you know, that you're in the thick of it coding, you're trying to figure out what's wrong with the issue, but people are just blasting dad jokes at you, which are throwing you off your game. Can you like, how would you go about toggling them?
That's a good question. Yeah, so I basically have a pause here, and it pauses it for 30 seconds. So if it does get a little, I've only ever had to do this once, and to be quite honest, it was only when I was doing a presentation like this, where it was a bunch of college students, and they were just going on and on and on. So I did pause the interaction, and that's what this is. If actually, I didn't even talk about this, but basically I have flags here. So the broadcaster being me, the streamer, I can only use the pause command, either me or the mods. So if you're a mod on my Twitch channel, you can do pause, and then it'll pause for 30 seconds. So that's how I basically combat against spam. But to be quite honest, like I've had like 80 people in stream before, but that's like kind of like a higher day. Normally I have anywhere from 15 to 50. So those are usually regular. So like people know not the spam, but honestly, no one's really even thought the spam, the yos or anything like that.
Well, I'll be the first. Not playing. We have a question from AP Flex. What platform are you using to consistently listen to interactions for the webhook?
Yeah, so one is OctaKit's webhook library. It's a library that basically receives webhooks from GitHub. It knows how to format stuff. OctaKit is a library called, it's called OctaKit, and it's maintained by a bunch of users who just love GitHub enough to contribute to it full-time, or not full-time, but consistently. So I have an OctaKit JS library as well that I interact with the GitHub API. But the real thing is SME. SME is what listens to the webhooks and actually delivers it to localhost or to Azure or to whatever. Actually, this is really for localhost. For testing and development locally on my machine, I use SME. And SME is something you probably have never heard of because it was created by a bunch of GitHub employees to build GitHub interactions. So like we don't really promote it or anything like that. There's no reason that we're not doing it. It's just like there's no value in us telling everybody that this exists because we're just using it for our own uses.
That's really dope. I know that internally here at Black, we actually use OctaKit because like we have the blacksmith bot that we're currently refactoring. But whenever whenever a new issue is created in any of our open source projects, we get a notification about it, and that's through OctaKit.
Okay, excellent.
We do like the same thing with the webhooks for like new issues when they're open or closed, which is pretty dope. So we're familiar with, or at least I am.
Yeah, it's a great way to manage your project. Like, because I do a lot of automation too as well. Like, I just wrote some automation yesterday. I was reviewing pull requests in this giant project called Git Ignore, which is just a bunch of ignore templates for different projects. So like yesterday, this was 325. Sorry, I got to log into GitHub.
Mm-hmm. Everybody, close your eyes.
Actually. There we go. Sorry, the staff bar showed up too as well. But yeah, we had to just go through a bunch of these PRs. So I did this with my boss yesterday on stream. And the way I automated this is I basically automated adding labels that say needs info. And this goes down to folks who open up pull requests but don't add context. So this one actually, he actually responded back and said, "Could you add more details?" When you create a PR that sorry, I'm just gonna go ahead and triage this live on the air. When you create a pull request, we have a pull request template that looks like this. So if you open up a pull request and you don't change to do out of it, like if you haven't added any extra context and you just opened it, then we add a label that says needs info, and then we comment. And the way I've done that is I have this project, which I'll bring up real quick because it's right here.
All right, everyone. Insider look.
Yeah, actually, didn't actually open up the code. All right, yeah. So this is a tool called OctaHerd. It's a CLI, but what I've done is I bundled this up into a little script to basically take all repositories from the repo that I'm passing in. So this is an argument, and it basically loops through and grabs the issue number, and if it has the word to do in here, it's going to add a label called needs info, which is honestly it's super handy because if I go to node script, I'm just going to run this real quick too as well. So if I pass in my token, which is GitHub token, this I have stored in my bash profile.
Mm-hmm.
And then I pass in a repo, which is going to be GitHub/gitignore. It's going to go through all the open pull request. It looks like it. Why did it not run? Oh, I need to check out main. Okay. I see what happened. Sorry, I was working on a quick change and in the middle of that. All right, so I have the latest. It should be. Oh, actually, it shouldn't be script. It should be CLI, and I'll show you why in a sec. But basically, it's going to run through. Did I not get my? Oh, you know what? Someone corrected me. It should be GitHub token, not GitHub profile. Here we go. So yeah, this script is going to run through all the the PRs.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it actually ran once. Let's see.
So this one go through like all. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, so I've got a CLI.js, which is basically taking that script file and using octoherd to run it manually. And then I have a script.js, which is all the sort of code that talks to the API.
And so that's how you like programmatically run CLI commands from your script file.
Yeah. Yep. And then this is built into octoherd. It's just going to say basically, do you want to run this? It's going to ask me to confirm. I'm going to say yes to everything because I don't want to have to go through each one of them and say yes to them. Mm-hmm. So it's like in case you only wanted to run it on the first one instead of all of them, it gives you the option. Yeah. So now it's actually running all of them. Because I ran this yesterday, it's not going to add any new labels. Actually, just kidding. It added this one. But all the other ones already have labels. But yeah, this is and we can even see. Actually, that was not the one I added. Yeah, it looks like all the labels were good to go anyway. That's why it ran so fast.
So when okay, so you said that it'll add the label if the word to do is in the description. So to fully fulfill like a proper PR request, you have to remove all of the to-dos.
Yeah, I mean it's bare bones. Like if you're gonna open up a pull request and it says add this or replace the to do with actual your link content, or your message or content. If you want to get your stuff reviewed and someone asks you to basically fill out this form, but instead you delete the entire thing, like that's a great way to get your stuff closed and be marked as someone not to interact with. So like I think a lot of open source is kind of just following the rules, and not the rules of like, not the sense of like this is how you write code or this is how you add space to your project or tabs or spaces, whatever. It's more about if I have a project that has 284 pull requests, how am I going to review all those? Like, what's the easiest way for me to like review these? Well, one is basically take all the ones that didn't actually follow the directions and close them. And then now I only have 100 to review. So most maintainers are doing this on their free time and not as their job. So if you could do anything to help them out by actually giving them enough information to get your stuff reviewed, then that is super helpful. And like in my case, like I have a bunch of work in progress PRs, and like this person I've been talking to, so he's actually filled out a lot of content, and this is open source, so this is a whole other project, but he's been actually talking to me in my Discord and like asking questions, and like we've been working through stuff. So like this is something that I'm okay with having sit and wait for him to finish. But there are some like that I've actually this one I'm not really sure what's going on with this one because this was 2 weeks ago. We were testing out something, and I think what I need to do is actually to actually confirm if we need to actually even use this. We're trying to set up a development environment for open source, and this guy was actually jumping at actually setting it up for me. So I'm letting him do that. But it's the same thing with like issues. Like here's a good example, and this is one I opened up yesterday, where there's no information. I opened this up because I did this on stream, but if someone else opened this up, this is like automatic closure. Yeah, obviously don't lead by my example, but because I'll fill this out later today. But like just simply answering the questions is a great way to get your stuff reviewed.
So can't you just like sort of say that like if you get like the amount of characters that is, just say if the issue body is less than that number, then automatically close it and then mark it as a label?
Yeah, you could do that, but that would be if I approach this with my senior engineer hat, that would eventually be buggy. What I would do is actually just take the template and match it to the current copy of the issue. And if there are no changes, absolutely no changes, then that would be automatic closure. And that's what we do at GitHub. Like we have some stuff that we have to open up for like operations and getting access to different repos and code. if you didn't change any of the body copy and it stayed the same, they automatically there's a bot that runs that basically says, hey, Brian, you didn't fill this out, or you haven't changed the boiler copy. Could you please do that? So I think that's a easier way to do that is just have a bot mention you. So that way it works.
That's fair. So can you sort of get into GitHub Actions?
Yeah, I can segue into that. So GitHub Actions, and actually I should if I know we sort of veered into automation out of the talk about bots, but I just want to shout out to you as well. I do have a whole course.
You're on Level Up? That's
yeah.
fire. That is fire.
Yeah. So if y'all have an account there or whatever, definitely check it out. You'll get like the full scope of what I'm talking about, because there's more than just to automations and just actions. But I'm happy to talk about actions. So with GitHub Actions, you have this actually, I'll go back to open source to explain this. With GitHub Actions, you have interactions with GitHub repositories in a way that we really haven't had before. So GitHub, we call them primitives. So when you think of like webhooks, authentication, API, those are all like building blocks to build your own interaction. So like when you talk about the blacksmith, like that's a combination of webhooks and API and also authentication to make that work. Yeah. So with GitHub Actions, you get all that for free inside your repository. So actually, I have a better example that I'll show in my BW Live repo. Mm-hmm. So BW Live is my website, and it's also the backend to like everything I do. So I have a project board that shows what I'm streaming in the future. So this is like my backlog of streaming. This is like what's up next. Like if I wanted to just do a stream today, I'd pick one of these 3 topics and make those work. Let me zoom out a little bit. So this is what I'm currently working on, which I'm building a recommendation engine for open source. So if you sign up for open source, I will recommend you, well, not yet, I'm working on this, but it will recommend you projects to contribute to based on your knowledge and your skill set, as well as who you follow on GitHub as well. So that's what I'm working on. Very, very beginning, but that's what I'm streaming. So anything in this
really
call,
great. That's please let Black know, specifically me. That is really nice.
Yeah, and I'll let you know. And but basically, the way this works is this issue right here is also the same thing that shows up on BW Live. So if I scroll down here and you see Flavor Flav story goal, like I'm using my GitHub repository as a backend for my content. This is not very detailed, but this one is. But here you can see how I built Discord notifications. So
yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
So the goal was like basically whenever I move stuff to the streaming column on Tuesday and Fridays in Discord, it has an alert that says we're going live today, and then it will tell you exactly what we're working on today. So that way, if anybody has questions of like, hey, is Brian going to stream today, or what's he working on? Just join the Discord, set up notifications for the Twitch channel, and then you're good to go.
That is fire. Sorry.
Yeah. So, and the way I'm doing this is I'm using, where am I? Feature. Now I'm all over the place with
tabs.
Yeah. Okay, we can close a lot of this out. Oh, here you go, schedule. So the way I do this is I use a GitHub action. And that was a roundabout way because I wanted to, basically combined a bunch of different things to create this action YAML, which basically it says every 2 and 5, which 2 and 5 is going to be Tuesday and Friday.
That's a cron job. Okay.
Yeah. And then at minute 7, I believe, of the 13th.
Oh, yeah? Okay. I thought it was.
Yeah, it's the 7th minute on the 13th hour in UTC.
And the 2 stars represent like every.
That's a good question. I honestly don't remember. But this is all just based on frequency. So yeah. Here we go. 13/7, Tuesday and Friday. So I don't know what these two are, but if I added a random number. Oh, okay, in March. So this is what month? So if I didn't want it just to be March, and I think this one is going to be on the 3rd of every month. Oh yeah, this is day. So if I want this to run every day on Tuesday and Fridays, this is what this is. If I want to run this on March or April or May or whatnot, I can do that as a cron job as well. So that's what that is. Let me back out of this because I don't need to be in edit mode. But I did that because if you edit the file in github.com, it will give you details about crons. With GitHub Actions, you get an entire runner. So think of like a VM. So you don't have to set up Docker or anything like that. You just get a whole VM. I've chosen Ubuntu because it has Bash in it, and that's all I need. What it's going to do is going to use basically GitHub script, which is essentially OctaKit packaged into a GitHub action. I get authentication, again, another primitive. And then I get the right JavaScript directly inside of this YAML file. So what I'm doing is I'm looking for all issues that have this label called live. And the label live actually gets applied every time you go into the project board. That's the other thing. I have a whole other action that applies and adds labels based on what column of the project board is. So anything in this column will get the live label. Anything that actually touches this column gets the publish label. And the publish label is what I choose to show up on BW Live. So these are the only 3 things that have the publish label. So these issues all show up on my website. So this is a little intense, but this is like months of me thinking through how can I make it easy for people to find stuff on this website. And this is like the scratching the surface. I think you're muted. I'm not sure if you're talking.
My bad. So is like the YAML file like you're like for like all of like the front end people? Is it like a package.json but for actions?
Yeah, well, YAML is kind of like your package.json for DevOps. So like if you do any CI stuff, if you do any Kubernetes stuff or Docker stuff or orchestration, it's always going to be a YAML file for the most part. There are other languages that you can use to do DevOps, but the majority of the DevOps tools are YAML.
Yeah.
But that's what this is.
So your send Discord notification. And so what's this whole needs portion?
That's a good question. Yeah. So this basically will not run until this starts or until this completes.
Okay.
Just
so what
for
you
live content. Yeah.
Okay.
And then to show you this live, or I guess not really show you it live, but show you a past run. Mm-hmm. You can see the check for live content. It is dependent, this is dependent on that. So sends Discord notification will not happen until this is completed. And it has to complete and pass. So if there's a failure or API endpoint is not existent, we will not send a Discord notification.
So say that, okay. And so it's in an array where each element is like a previous step in the process.
Yeah, so I can have this dependent on multiple steps, so multiple jobs. And actually, to even reiterate too as well, is that these are jobs. That's in the context of these will be running as jobs. You can run 22 asynchronous jobs. So I could have 22 of these. So at the moment, I don't have 22, but these all run at the same time.
All for free.
Yeah. The way it works is it charges in minutes. So you have 2,000 minutes for free.
Per day? A month, okay. 2,000 minutes.
Yeah, so as long as you're below that threshold, you're fine.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. And then I'm using a GitHub action called Discord notifications to basically send, which is my new notification is, hey, BW's going live today.
And so where does the steps come from? Oh, the steps come from.
Sorry, say that again.
So like the steps, I was wondering where, because in the double curly braces, you have steps.data.outputs. So I was curious where the steps variable came from, but I see it on line 37.
Yeah, so steps are synchronous jobs. So in a job, you can have synchronous steps, and you have unlimited steps you can do. But those are also, instead of having the needs here, these automatically will need each other. So this will not run until we download the artifact from the previous job, and then vice versa. Like the webhook, this title right here is actually being generated from this bash. It's actually a bash script, and you can see I'm using bash right here, and then I'm setting the output of title to the issue title from the issue, which is what we see here. So these are all GitHub issues. They all have titles. I'm basically just taking those titles and then adding that to the message in Discord. And I think I don't think I have Discord. Oh, I do have Discord open. So if I went to open source and I went to Twitch, you can see I probably have a message. Oh, yep, right here. So working on Flava Flav at 1 p.m. PDT. So basically, instead of me reminding folks that I'm going to stream or what I'm streaming about, it just goes in there. And then when I go live, I've got another bot that basically says, hey, we're live.
That is very. And I just saw the Corgi from Learn with Jason. If you can invite me to that server later on, because I didn't even know that he had one. But okay, that's really great. Okay, so how are secrets? Like, where do you keep those?
Sorry, your audio is dropping out.
Oh, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's like super choppy. I'm not sure if you have a USB mic.
Yeah, give me a second. Hold on.
You might have to plug it in, plug it back in. Yeah, the Blue Yeti mics, they are the snowballs. Let's see. Say something.
All right. Hello.
Still kind of choppy.
Really? Hold on. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, it's weird because like your video is like perfect. It's just the audio that's
okay. How
choppy.
about now? Is that okay? How about now?
Still pretty
Choppy? No way.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna just change it to my regular.
Okay, maybe it's just me. Yeah, because Apex Flex
so that he can hear you.
Says that he could hear fine.
Oh, okay. Good, because I was about to say I thought I had to set up fine. Okay, well, I'll just speak into the microphone. So like, what does secrets look like?
Secrets for
like your actions in GitHub, because I saw in your YAML that that you're saving your secrets.
Yeah, it sounds like you're back for me. Yeah, so adding secrets is actually just going into your repository settings and going into action secrets and then setting up a new repository secret. Mm-hmm. This is probably a better example if I just went over here. And I'm just going to shut down OBS in case that was the problem for me.
You should, okay.
Because it does take up a lot of processing power. I'm using my Mac. Yeah, so you can see I've got my Discord webhook as a secret. My Giphy token. Well, my Giphy token is actually for a example app that I threw together. But this is where you can keep your secrets as well.
And so you can keep secrets per repo?
So you can do per repo. Sorry, I'm struggling to answer your question because the answer is yes to both. You can also do organization secrets too as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so if I went into open source, I'm actually not using organization secrets. We only shipped it in January, so I haven't actually switched to leveraging org secrets. Whoops, too many settings. There we go. But if I wanted to, I could go to secrets for an organization, and then set secrets org on the org level. So this is my example top secret, mainly as I needed to create an organization secret. But this top secret will be available everywhere in open source. So think of things like Discord webhooks, or think of things like Twitter tokens. Like those are things you might use in multiple projects. It might make sense to keep those here, so that way you don't have to continue to always add those every time you want to do something.
Okay. And in like your YAML, whenever you like put a secret, does it give you like IntelliSense to let you know what secrets you have available?
No.
No? Okay.
That'd be a great feature though, to be quite honest. But no, there's nothing inferring secrets. I will say that the GitHub token is one that you don't have to set yourself. This is one that automatically gets generated for you. So if you want access to your GitHub
API, right?
Yeah, and that's if you wanted to like write comments on like the thing I showed earlier with the Slaybot. The way I write comments onto another PR is I need to pass this GitHub token to confirm that this is okay for the action to do.
That's fair. Okay. Great. And I see like on line 18 that you're able to like have access to the file system. So can you like import other libraries and utilize them?
Yep.
Is it recommended?
So this, you can do whatever you want as long as it's less than 2,000 minutes. But because it's an Ubuntu VM, I get access to the entire node version. And like the other thing to keep in mind too as well is the fact that if I wanted to, actually, let me. I'm jumping back and forth between different projects and different organizations.
You're fine.
But the thing is, I have like so many actions, so much automation that I put together that I just have examples for all your questions in different places.
That's perfect.
But this, I wanted to show off this release management one, because this one actually is using different node versions. So I can use node 12, node 14 to run my test. And that's important because the way I'm running my project, it needs node to have context of that. Because this actually runs a npm script, which is cuts releases, and it automates these over here, which let's see if I can get over there. So here I've got some releases that every time a project or PR gets merged, I add it to the release. So yesterday I was talking about MT Foley. He shipped a feature, actually a pretty baller feature too as well, because I've been wanting it for a while. But if you go into open source, which this is the first time I open an open source this entire conversation, which is amazing. But if you go into open source, you can actually track projects to contribute to. And if you just want to look for good first issues, you can see there's good first issues here. So that's the feature he added. It's basically filtering for issues that are good first issues.
Nice. And so all of this is through GraphQL, or it's just...
Yeah. So this is all powered by GraphQL and OneGraph as well. OneGraph is a great tool to sort of combine a bunch of stuff. But if you go into my lib and go into my API.graphql or .js, you see all these GraphQL queries that are sort of set up to basically consume that data and then get it and fetched onto the screen.
Makes sense. Very nice. Wow. Okay. Huh.
Yeah. The whole object of this project is really just to encourage you to do open source. So the one thing I've been actually working on recently is adding a opportunity for folks to actually get suggested projects, which I had mentioned. And here we go. I'm going to go into a staged version. So this is basically a deploy preview from Netlify. I'm not sure how familiar people are with that tool, but it gives me every pull request. I get a version of that pull request live to play around with. So here you go. I'm gonna do the same thing. Actually, it should be right here. Oh, that's right. I never pushed it up. I actually am still working on it locally.
Insider scoop, everybody.
There you go. I'll just run the local version, which I think. Do I have a? I gotta stop that. All right, it has to be local 3000 because the way I route the tokens and stuff like that, the JWTs, it has to be a specific URL, which is probably a little more inside baseball than is needed, but that's why I had to kill the dev server. Yeah, and I think OBS was I think that was a problem.
Oh yeah, okay.
Great. Yeah, because I was running it so long with not doing it, touching it, that it was just taking up too many resources. So this is the beginnings of what I'm trying to do, which is these are my suggested projects. And these suggested projects will be suggested to you to contribute to. It's not styled right now because I just threw it on the page this morning. But essentially what I'm going to eventually get to is something that looks a little like this. It's actually the oldest issue in the repo, but it's going to look something like this. We have like a nice carousel. Actually, there's even a better example. I don't think I'm going to actually have it animate because I think it might be a little distracting for a dashboard. But to be able to have them, you can sort of scroll through recommended projects to add.
That's nice.
Yeah, this is again. I have so many examples. I write a lot of code. I touch a lot of things. So like this is another thing we worked on last year called GitHub Hackathon, built in Vue.js, and it basically just gives you GitHub actions. So like we've talked about GitHub actions. If you're interested at all in seeing other actions live or leverage them, there's some examples here as well.
GitHub.com.
Cool.
Great.
Yeah, I think we sort of like really took a tour through a ton of stuff.
Yeah, we did. This was really great, right? So I guess just to wrap up, let's go back to the initial thing. If people wanted to use the Baybot, like what's the best way that they can do so?
Yeah, absolute best way you could do it is actually just go to the README. There's like a blog post, basically. It's like a guide, basically. So I got the Baybot. It'll actually tell you how to implement this in your own chat. So step by step. It explains OBS Studio, explains Comfy.js. It then goes and tells you, actually tells you to go ahead and fork this repo and change my name to your name. And then once you've done that, you'll be able to start messing around with chat. Well, actually, once you get it up on GitHub Pages, which also tells you how to do.
And so your name, and so your name being your Twitch name.
Yeah, your Twitch channel. So like the way I did it is I just swapped out my name to black_XYZ, and that's how I got started at the beginning of this.
And that's really all that you have to do. That's literally all that you have to do.
Yep. Everything else will just work out of the box.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and my goal was really just to make this super simple so that way you can get your hands onto a Twitch interaction and then you can just run with it, which I've seen quite a few people take my concept of Baybot and then go build something way more complicated. And that's the whole thing. And
with GitHub, you can see like who all forked their project and go see what they're working on.
Yeah. So all these people have forked Baybot.
Merch alerts. Okay. The bottom by KR187 merch alerts. Okay. What is that one?
Yeah, well, they're honestly have no idea what their
merch alert, the MP3. So they probably just changed up so they kept like the audio file, but they changed like there was some file that says merch alert.
Nice. Yep. It looks like they kind of kept up a lot of the other stuff, but it looks like they did add some merch alerts. So, yeah, again, like this is like bare bones framework for you to sort of run with. I didn't even know about this person, which I'm going to follow them on Twitch. See it live.
Work squad alert bot.
That'd be really awkward if they were actually streaming right now.
That would be like, oh snap,
Yeah.
Probably just testing it out. That's what's up.
Yeah, very cool.
Community open source. All right, Brian. This has been great. This is. Oh wait, let me put us here. Yeah, this has been great. I've definitely enjoyed it. Got some exciting things coming up soon. Brian, any final words? Twitter. What's your Twitter? Actually, I think I know it.
Yeah, BDugEO is my Twitter. BDugEO is my Twitch. If y'all are interested in learning more, like questions, open up issues too as well. Like I'm happy to get issues on GitHub. My DMs are open on Twitter. I'm also in the Black Discord, so if you got questions, whatever, feel free to mention me if you got questions about GitHub or the stuff I showed. This was kind of like a tour. I didn't really dive deep into a lot of different things, but always happy to come back and do some extra stuff with the community.
For sure. All right, Brian. This has been great. See y'all later.
All right. See ya.
All right.